Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to join the good senator from North Carolina, as well as my colleagues, in bringing Senate attention to the President's fiscal year 2024 budget. At the outset, I want to say I support a balanced budget amendment and have done so since I first came to the Senate, and think that's something that we need to pass. We need a balanced budget amendment. But with that, I do want to comment on the Biden administration's budget released last week, which goes in the wrong direction. President Biden's $6.9 trillion proposal is full of the same tax and spend policies that do not balance the budget, do not help reduce inflation, and instead they levy taxes on hardworking Americans and spend money that we don't have. In total, the budget proposes $4.7 trillion. Let me repeat that, $4.7 trillion in new taxes on the American people. We need to get our fiscal house in order, and we do that by controlling spending, not, again, raising taxes on hardworking Americans. It's time that we come together to reduce our debt and deficit and enact responsible policies that will reduce inflation and lift the burden that our American taxpayers currently face. The President's budget calls for increasing the corporate tax rate to 28%. This is higher than the average corporate tax rate in Europe, which is currently 21.7%, and it's even higher than the tax rate in China, if you can believe that, which is 25%. This policy neglects the fact that tax increases like these are ultimately passed through to consumers in terms of higher prices for goods and services. That's just the reality. We know this because in 2021, the nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation scored a similar corporate tax increase proposal and very clearly came back and demonstrated that tax increase would be borne by hardworking taxpayers, and certainly taxpayers making less than the $400,000 per year that President Biden has talked about. Because of this administration's past tax and spend policies, just yesterday the updated CPI, Consumer Price Index, indicated that prices for goods and services in this country continues to rise. We've seen historic levels of inflation. And a big part of controlling and reducing that inflation is controlling and reducing overall spending. With the latest numbers, unless you've gotten at least a 15% raise since the Biden administration took office, you've effectively suffered a pay cut because the rate of inflation has gone up faster than your rate of pay.
Greetings, friends. Watch out for extra stimulus checks from our federal government. Several economists are now predicting that an economic recession will lead to another round of federal relief payments. But these checks may be worth less than the 3 previous rounds. So friends, please do me a big favor and watch until the end of this video. Also know that I'll be giving away 2 Walmart gift cards in just a few days. If you would like to enter the giveaway, friends, simply click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. My friends, the more videos that you comment on, the greater your chances of winning the weekly giveaways. Tax season is upon us, and many people have questions about how to handle stimulus payments that you might have received in 2022. This includes checks from your state or city. You could also still be waiting for additional stimulus funds if you live in one of a handful of states that extended relief programs into this year. Even if you do not usually file a tax return, there are a few things that you should know. So far, 3 federal rounds of stimulus checks have been sent out to all Americans. Nearly 4 in 5 voters are in support of extra relief payments to American families. Nevertheless, the popularity of the payments and findings that they reduced poverty and promoted spending means stimulus payments are likely to become a tool pulled out by the government in the next recession, which sadly may be coming very soon. Claudia Sahm, a former Federal Reserve economist, has recently told Yahoo News, "I expect stimulus checks to be used again because they worked." In economic downturns, the U.S. government has a number of levers it can pull to keep families spending and shielded from the most dire situations. Continued spending is key, because if people's buying slows or dries up, companies respond to lowering profits by laying off even more workers, which only deepens and prolongs the hard times. Relief strategies include enhancing unemployment benefits, boosting food stamps, temporarily slashing taxes, and sending out additional stimulus checks. The payments also stimulate the economy in a short amount of time. According to economists, research on the stimulus checks shows that people spend about half of the checks, and they do so very quickly. So in the end, stimulus checks made the crisis-era recession less severe. The first two payments alone were found to lift more than 11.7 million Americans out of poverty, including more than 2 million seniors and 3 million children. In particular, if the next crisis is triggered by the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes, which aim to curb rising prices, many may argue that sending out cash to Americans could run counter to the Fed's goal and allow inflation to remain out of control. So, dear friends, what are your thoughts on all of this? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. It has been confirmed that residents in many states do not have to report their crisis relief funds that they received in 2022 on their federal income tax returns that are filed this year. But in the state of Alaska, you will need to claim your permanent fund dividend, but not the energy relief payment. In the states of Georgia, Massachusetts, South Carolina, and Virginia, you do not have to include state payments as income. If the payment was a refund of state taxes paid and you claim the standard deduction. Individuals in most states which issued refunds have already received them. If you have not received an expected direct deposit or check, please reach out to your state's tax or revenue department. A handful of U.S. states are still sending out relief checks to their residents, with funds arriving as late as the end of March. So if you live in one of the states listed below, watch your mailbox or your bank account for a check if you have not received one yet. For example, the loss of Idaho's 2022 special session rebates are expected to be paid by the end of this month. You should look for a rebate that is the greater amount of your 10% of your 2020 income tax liability, or $300 for single filers, and then $600 for those who are married and file jointly. New Jersey homeowners are also receiving hefty chunks of money in the form of property tax rebates. The amount is based on income. If you earned up to $150,000, you will receive $1,500. And if you earn more than $150,000, but less than $250,000, you will receive $1,000. Renters who earn up to $150,000 are also receiving checks for $450. So friends, if you reside in the state of New Jersey, please look for these payments to arrive by late May of this year. Well, my beautiful and most amazing friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for this Wednesday. Thank you, my friends, for being part of this community and for being here every single day. My dear friends, please make sure you enter the weekly giveaways by clicking and liking several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. My friends, the more videos that you watch and then comment on, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed week.